Tobirama vs Sasuke was a fight that was about to happen in the war arc up until Hashirama intervened, de-escalating the entire situation by calming down Tobirama. Now, some people have started to discuss this as after this event happened, specifically on whether or not this would count as a good feat for Tobirama, as he did cause Sasuke to pretty much start sweating a bit. However, others tend to disagree with this idea, as Sasuke himself didn't have the Sharingan out, nor did everyone else really have a huge reaction, unlike they had with Hashirama powering up. However, this still became somewhat debatable, and because of this, I decided to go ahead and discuss it myself, as I believe it gets pretty interesting depending on which versions you're talking about here. Now, to keep this pretty concise, we're going to focus on two versions of the characters for each person, and split it up into 2 rounds. The first round will be between Edo Tobirama versus War Arc Sasuke when he first arrives to the battlefield. So essentially the one who fights with Enkipsi on Naruto, and basically fighting like the unstable and then like stable Jibito during the beginning. And for the second round, it will be a live Tobirama versus the Sasuke that fought with Biju, Seijo, and Madara, as well as the one that fought against Rinnegan Madara. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Either way, let's not waste any more time and jump right into the scaling. When it comes to Tobirama, I've already discussed this character at least like 4 times on the channel, and because of that, I'm going to leave him for later and mainly discuss about Sasuke, especially because when it comes to Tobirama and his feats, because it's an Edo, they mostly kind of happen in the war arc that Sasuke's already fighting as well, so I feel like it would be more important to kind of just compare Sasuke and what we already discussed with him, compared to what Tobirama is capable of doing later on. Now when it comes to Sasuke, it should be pretty important to point out that he's actually much stronger than when he was when he first unlocked the EMS. This is actually backed up when talking with Orochimaru, where he says that his hatred has grown far more than it was before after talking with Itachi, and basically learning the absolute truth of what happened with him and with the Uchiha clan. This is pretty important to point because when usually how Tobirama explains it, the Uchiha basically get like pretty much big boost in power through strong emotions and especially hatred, or at least the ones that did during Tobirama's time. So because of this would mean that the Sasuke that we're actually referring to this battle will be far stronger than the one that fought against Kabuto. Now of course, how strong was the Sasuke that fought against Kabuto? Well, what we at least know so far in the data books and what he's been shown when fighting with Itachi, he's actually shown to be pretty much on par to outright equal with him. Now, this is pretty important because when it comes to Itachi, even as an Edo, he's able to actually keep up with KCM Naruto and as well as Killer B, who at this point in time has actually gained a mental amp and he was surpassed his own brother. This is pretty important to point out, is that with Naruto, as I mentioned before, he's able to show flat out relativity with him, and it would be not only to show relativity with him as well, but it's even implied to actually show him above B, as he is giving pointers on where he's at during the battlefield. In addition to this, when we actually look at their capabilities and their attacks with the Susanoo, they're showing them having around similar speeds as well, and even showing them to have similar genjutsu prowess. This is pretty important because it's not just any normal genjutsu that Itachi uses. Itachi actually has to use the Tsukiyomi to break out of Kabuto's genjutsu. And of course the Sasuke then counters with it with the exact same level of genjutsu, but just only using the base Sharingan. Or technically the EMS base Sharingan. But the point being is that Sasuke's genjutsu at this point in time is now actually equal to his brother's Tsukiyomi. Now we start looking more into like the Sasuke that's actually in the battlefield. We see him actually being relative to not even be a little faster than the likes of Enkipsi and Naruto. Now, while he wouldn't really scale to the current League mode, as it's kind of planned later on that Naruto's still above him in that aspect, if you see NKCM, he's pretty much able to react to things and perceive things that Naruto just can't even keep up with, and even especially the True Seeking Orb where it's attached to Minato, Sasuke's actually able to somewhat move on par with his days KCM Minato, and be able to pretty much cloak him and Naruto with his Susanoo arm. As well, along in addition to all this as well, he does have a summoning. Now, the summoning can be potentially helpful. It kind of just depends how well you think it can. It's like a distraction or something, or just kind of just catch your tongue off guard. However, if you don't think it'd be helpful, then it doesn't matter anyway. Sasuke's arsenal at this point in time is useful as it is already to pretty much give Tobirama a hard time. Now we kind of went over all of that. Let's go a little bit into Tobirama here and kind of discuss how powerful he is at this point in time as an Edo. So, not going into, again, the Uchiha hideout scene with him and Sasuke, just focus on what he did in the war arc. He's able to pretty much help with Minato, Hashirama, and Hiruzen pulling out the Crimson Ray barrier. Now, it's kind of unknown how much power he's actually put into the barrier itself. As we know, the barrier is considered still powerful, that he can even tank the Ten Tails attack. It should at least be safe to say, considering that Tobirama is a Senju, and usually the Senju are usually known for their large amount of chakra, that he probably had a big play into it. But even then, it is shown that afterwards he was pretty much drained for the most part, where even 2 shadow clones were pretty much considered like an embarrassment for him. Keep this in mind, as someone like Hashirama, who can only create about like 5 himself, didn't like the number either. And we look at someone like Madara at this point in time too, where he's actually shown relative to this Edo Hashirama could create like 20. You can kind of see where, like, if you assume that Hashirama's level of clones is similar to Madara's here, which is honestly fair to say since they are pretty much rivals to one another, does it mean that without the Christian rank barrier, someone like Hashirama can meet like 20 shadow clones, or wood clones specifically, and then for Tobirama's case, if he's getting a similar nerf, you're looking at Tobirama making about like 8 shadow clones on himself. Now, despite all this, he's still shown to be pretty impressive later on down the line, as in regard to the speed aspect of things, he's able to keep up with pretty much Naruto, Sasuke, a day's Minato, and even able to tag Jibito somewhat twice. The first one's a bit more debatable, as it depends on whether you think he placed the tags on him or you think he just had it in his body. But basically, paper bombs got onto Jibito after he ran through him and Hashirama. And again, it gets debatable to how people interpret it. I personally believe like what happened here is that he probably threw it on him, not necessarily he placed it on individually. However, either way, that is not as important as the actual FTG mark, where that is just shown that he would be actually able to place it on him, at least during when they first got in contact with one another. Now, of course, this doesn't mean he's actually faster than Jibito. This wouldn't make any sense, but it does mean he is really fast as an Edo. Now, in addition to all of this, we actually kind of see Tobirama later on be able to pretty much intercept the Choose Ignore by teleport off from Minato. Now, this isn't really scaling to a day's Minato here, as again, Minato's days, but it is still pretty fast, as he pretty much does this for anyone who can really do anything. And in addition to this as well, and because this Casey and Minato, while being dazed, is still applied to be a little faster than Naruto and Sasuke at this point in time anyway, and is even able to pretty much touch Jibito's shoulder before he reacts to anything else at this point. Mind you, this Jibito now is actually stable and actually thinking properly, but when Tobirama teleports onto his shoulder, he's even able to actually react and take him out. Again, this is also just him using Flying Raijin, but still pretty impressive nonetheless. He also does like a second time as well, with doing the reciprocal round robin with Minato, to let Sasuke and Naruto get an attack on Jibito. But again, just so showing just how the fastest he can be with the flying FTG mark. Now, the last thing to go off with Tobirama, or at least a few things come to the speed aspect, is actually when it comes to like One Eye Rinnegan Madara. When going against One Eye Rinnegan Madara, he does get beat down as eventually time goes on. However, something pretty interesting here is that we let you look at even his Madara's face. Mind you, he's already a little bruised up already from taking an attack from the other tail beast. However, when we actually look at after Tobirama's pinned down, you actually see a new mark near the corner of his lip, which is pretty interesting as this hasn't even appeared before Tobirama actually started fighting him, or specifically, this wasn't there before the cutaway when Tobirama was above Madara. Now, of course, this doesn't put Tobirama equal to this version of Madara in speed, especially since this Madara is actually stronger than the live state. This will be pretty impressive, and it does show Tobirama is actually still pretty fast at this point in time. Now, outside of the speed aspect, we turn a little bit to the AP. Tobirama's strongest attack here, since he isn't Edo, is the 10 paper bombs. This attack was still powerful, as not only does it destroy pretty much a few of the deity gates, which is pretty impressive, as even a 10 tails beast bomb from like the version 3 10 tails couldn't even do anything to it. But even Jibito at this point in time acknowledges how powerful it is and actually blocks it. Now, while it is true that this Jibito is unstable, he still has at least some idea like how to fight and attack a bit. Of course, this wouldn't be as good as he was as when he is stable, so he's more just like a mindless beast. But still, the fact that he made a mindless beast to defend this attack is pretty impressive in itself. Now, in addition to this, he doesn't show much with the water style. The only big thing to really tell about the water style as an Edo here is that he is essentially able to pretty much make One Eye Rinnegan Madara block it. Now, to be fair, Madara could have been careful here, as he does mention this before, after being attacked by the other tail beast. But still, the fact that he considers blocking with a Susanoo instead of just trying to dodge it, or even block with his own arm, does kind of showcase that, at least how fast this probably is, for at least in this up close situation. Madara didn't feel like he had the time to just get away and dodge it. which kind of shows a bit in the power aspect of how strong this is, especially if the other attacks Madara was more willing to kind of just tank them. Now we kind of went over all of that, let's actually kind of discuss the matchup to see how everything kind of goes here. So right off the bat, there's no blitzing in this aspect here. So we kind of already went a bit with the physical speed and all this stuff. The other thing that should be mentioned here is that while I kind of made it a bit clear that Tobirama has the edge in the physical speed, we do actually see it. I probably didn't mention this beforehand. Sasuke is able to keep up with what's going on when Tobirama lands an attack on Jibito. In addition to this, when Jibito actually attacks Naruto with the True Suigenora Spear, or the spirit-like weapon that he had, he's actually able to react with the Susanoo. So this actually kind of means that not only can Sasuke pretty much perceive what Tobirama should be able to do, but with the Susanoo, it's actually possible for Sasuke to actually still be able to block off some of Tobirama's attacks. Now, it doesn't mean that their speed is not equal, probably not. As we kind of mentioned with the Madara thing, if you actually want to go with this and run with it and say that he was able to tag him on the lip, then of course we're going to put him equal to Madara, but it does kind of present the better case where he should be able to be faster than Sasuke here. And even without considering that, this can depend on how well you think they actually kind of scales here, but personally, I think Tobirama's ability to even get the FTG mark on Jibito itself is still a little bit more impressive than what Sasuke did when blocking and more unstable Jibito's attack. Now, some people here probably just kind of go to the idea of Jibito fluctuating in power due to him being unstable, and while his power is changing, it's not fluctuating. Fluctuating is implying that it's going back and forth from being really strong and being really weak. However, that's not the case here. You see, with Jibito, while he's unstable, he's more so declining in power, and so when you look at it like that, you had Tobirama able to react to a degree against a more stable Jibito, where Sasuke reacts to a more unstable Jibito. So even in this case, Tobirama still have the speed advantage. Outside of that, if you look at the other aspects here, because of the AP and durability wise, and how they combat with one another, we already kind of discussed that Sasuke lands anything on Tobirama, he will lose. But if Tobirama is able to essentially get an FTG mark on Sasuke, or even get him out of the Susanoo in any way, I do think Tobirama just wins here, as Sasuke, my personal opinion, can't do anything without the Susanoo. But of course, it kind of begs the question, can Tobirama get Sasuke out of the Susanoo? Honestly, I think it is possible. You see, when we kind of look at back in the Kabuto fight, we actually see Sasuke get knocked out of the Susanoo there when he gets pretty much his fire to get countered by Kabuto's water style. Now, it is a bit unclear whether or not his Susanoo got broken by the water style. It is also just possible that the water just went underneath the Susanoo and just kind of messed him up there. And you kind of see with Madara a bit during the war when Gaara stands with the guy from underneath, that essentially, even though you have the Susanoo, since it's not like a full body one, your physical body can still be altered and made mess with, and people can get around it. So for Tobirama's case, if he actually just starts throwing out a lot of water style here, as he does have other water style attacks besides the one he hit with Madara, then you can actually see a case for him getting around it. But if that's not the case, then you just kind of have Tobirama just essentially using tandem finger balance and just kind of blowing Sasuke up. And personally, considering that he's able to destroy a Data Gate and make unstable Jibito want to block it, I don't see a real possible way for Sasuke to actually be able to block this attack. Now, it's not all over for Sasuke here. Sasuke is still technically able to just hit him with Amaterasu, as well, as far as we know, at least as far as my concern, I don't think he has any ceiling issue for Edo Tobirama. But with the Amaterasu, as able to burn anything, it should be able to just kind of burn away Tobirama and just take him out like that. And even if he can't do while he's in full body, if he's able to hit him with any Susanoo attacks and kind of split him in half and then just alight him from there, then he can get him like that as well. Again, I mentioned before, I make it very clear, anything that Sasuke lands on Tobirama should take him out. Now we kind of went over everything, kind of like a final verdict for this round. I will actually give this more to Tobirama here, while Sasuke still has a decent chance to win. It really just kind of depends on how they both go about doing it, as I can't believe Sasuke will mainly just use the Susanoo and use that as his main way of fighting here. Especially since he is an EMS user, he won't really get tired from this whatsoever. Whereas with Tobirama has to be a bit more careful here to get around the durability aspect. But I do think that with his arsenal, that he should be able to get around this pretty well. Now finishing up round 1, It's time to go into round 2 with Sasuke that fought Revive Madara versus Edo-Blind Tobirama. Now, I originally had a much longer segment for this round. However, with this video being as long as it is, and to be honest, there's not much that's really added to here that's really that important. I'm going to shorten this down as much as I can, keep it very simplistic. If there's anything you guys are confused on, just let me know in the comments below and I'll explain the best of my abilities. Now, to get into it pretty quickly and keep it very simple, the speed disparity that we mentioned before in round 1 no longer really exists in this round. Sasuke is just shown to be able to keep up with Revive Madara, who is just stated to be as strong as he was when he was alive, or specifically who regained his former power and was able to stab him in the arm. Furthermore, during the fight with Jibito, he was able to actually replicate the majestic attire on Naruto's Kurama cloak, similar to how Madara did to the full Nine Tails. This is important because he actually gets down to the exact same detail, which actually implies that Sasuke awakened the perfect Susanoo. Along with this, Orochimaru believes that after seeing Sasuke fight, that he has the potential to pretty much surpass Madara one day. Now, albeit Orochimaru only knows about Edo Madara here, and to be fair, we don't know exactly the full knowledge of it, as he could probably know more what Kabuto knew of Madara. It is stated in the birthday columns that during the fight with Hashirama, when they're both Edos, that he was showing power that even surpassed what he had in life. Now, those aren't the specific wording in it, but it still implied to some degree that Edo Madara was showing jutsu prowess that was better than his live self. Of course, it gets a little bit weird, as the manga itself tends to pretty much retcon this a little bit, or not really retcon, but kind of go against this notion with implying that a live Madara is the stronger version. However, you can simply add this up to being the live version is better physically wise in terms of physical capability with his own body, while the Edo one is just better from a jutsu aspect. Either way, it shouldn't be too wrong to say that you could just be relative to one another, and of course Sasuke's skill relative to this. And this is pretty important, as with Tobirama, his skill doesn't really change too much here. We know for sure that his live skill should be relative to Hashirama's speed, as against the fight with Hiruzen, he's able to keep out with Hiruzen and keep up with Hashirama. This is important as Hashirama is able to keep up with both Madara and the full Nine Tails, as well as the fact that Tobirama himself was stated to boast the fastest speed of any shinobi. Now, regardless of whether or not this is including just only his fire region or also his own body speed, this isn't enough to really give the same speed gap that he had round 1 with Sasuke, as Sasuke should ability scale to that of Madara, which honestly really keep up with Tobirama here. And this also makes it really bad here as well, as even though with the scaling I provided, it seems to more so apply with Perfect Susanoo, it really comes to now to whether or not Tobirama can even get past the Perfect Susanoo. Because if he can't get past the Perfect Susanoo, then obviously Tobirama will lose his match. Now, naturally, people will lean right into tandem paper bombs. However, I don't really like giving this with a live Tobirama, and that's mainly just to we don't really know how effective his Edos will actually be. At best, his Edos could scale to part 1 Orochimaru's Edos. However, we don't even know that's even the case or not. And plus, we don't even know who can actually revive. Plus, if we even were to say that he had like Hashirama on standby, and it was just as strong as Orochimaru's Hashirama back in part 1, Sasuke is much faster than that Hashirama anyway, so he can easily just blitz that Hashirama and use Amaterasu to burn it immediately. Outside of that, he can maybe argue that he could potentially just do it with either a Shadow Clone or even just the number Water Bubble. The Water Bubble argument is really from just the games itself, and that only being mentioned as with an interview through the creator of the Storm games. He actually states that through a lot of the attacks he has to make for the characters, that he does have to run by the Masashi Kishimoto before actually implementing it into the game. Meaning that the attacks they have in the game are something that the Kishimoto acknowledges and agrees that be capable of the characters pulling off. The problem with these, however, is that we just know that the tandem paper bombs is that if Tobirama's near he will just die. That's the reason why he used Edo Tensei to begin with. So the whole water bubble thing, if we're actually taking that into account, is more than likely just a weaker variation of the paper bomb ability, and therefore one is scaled to the one that would make Jibito block it. And with the Shadow Clones are known to just be slower than a normal Tobirama anyway. So therefore Sasuke would just have a better speed advantage towards it. Not to say that he would just outright just beat them before they can react, but more so it does put into question whether or not they can pull out the ability. Now, if you think they can, then yeah, you see a reason why Tobirama can win. However, there is one more thing that he can potentially do, and that is the water lance. Stated in one of the guidebooks, it is said to be a strong water-like lance that could cut through anything. Now, more than likely it's implying to just his time as Hokage, so not necessarily anything with the Hashirama, but it can still be implied to be above the other Biju who are still roaming around in the other villages, or at least specifically under the village's control. And potentially you can maybe argue for the full Nine Tails itself. However, it is unknown whether or not the full Nine Tails was active at this time, as to be fair, Mito was the Jinchuriki at this moment, and we had no clue whether or not Mito had the ability to go to the full Nine Tails ability, similar to how Naruto could do it. More than likely she probably couldn't, so it probably doesn't apply to the full Nine Tails anyway. But still, if you want to argue that, you can potentially have a good case with there as well. But even if we did say it can harm the full Nine Tails, you don't have to argue that Tobirama can even get to Sasuke close enough to land the attack on him before Sasuke strikes him and kills him. Either way, the big thing about this round here is that not only can Sasuke keep up with Tobirama, but Sasuke now has the perfect Susanoo, which gives Tobirama a lot of troubles here. And because of this, I will actually give this round to Sasuke more, mainly because, one, a lot of the attacks Tobirama has right now is the best way to put it. Hard to really put into whether or not it can actually harm Sasuke's Susanoo or not, and if it can, it does come to beg the question whether or not he can land the attacks before he gets killed. Because of this, while I do think Tobirama can win 7 matches, at best out of 10, I do think Sasuke can win more of those matches than Tobirama can. So because of that, I give this round to that Sasuke. Either way, that will be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Either way, this is Harry signing out. Peace.